This is Diana and welcome to Crafted Sweetly. In this video I will show you how to make some really cool cards using mixed media. For this first project I need the card to be completely covered with adhesive. So I'm using a Xyron sticker paper maker and running the card through it so that the entire area has adhesive on it. So for this we'll remove the backing from the roll that it came on, and then this area now is all sticky, so just make sure that you get any of the excess glue right on the edges. You could use a double-sided sticky tape roller, but that's going to use up a lot of your roll real quick, so plus you'd have to do it right next to each other. So for this card I had this really fuzzy yarn and I thought it would add really cool texture to the card. I know it's August, but then this kind of reminded me of snow and warm things in the winter, so I thought I would make a Christmas card with this. So I'm taking the yarn and layering it onto the card. So now remember, the whole card is sticky. And I'm putting the yarn right next to each other. So each strand is right next to each other. It doesn't matter that it extends past the card. I'm going to trim it later. Once you have the entire area covered, we'll need to trim off the excess. And it's easier if you trim from the back so you can actually see where the card ends. If you look at it from the front, you can't really see, kind of where the card is, but in the back you can. So just trim it from the back side. So there you have your background with a really cool fuzzy texture. Now for the sentiment, I'm using a Crafter's Companion die, and I will use the outline cut in one color and then the actual word itself in a different color, just to make it stand out a little more. I'm cutting out the sentiment using the diamond marquee, the diamond press marquee, and I really like this die cutting machine for little projects because it's just really quick. You don't need to figure out sandwiches that need to be assembled and put together and all that. For the word, I'm going to use foil paper, and I just use some repositionable tape to make sure that the word doesn't shift as I put it through the diamond press. So you'll just have to carefully remove this from the die. And then I will use some art glitter glue to attach this to the fuzzy background once I put it on the shadow portion that I cut out previously. So I will use some foam squares to give it a little more dimension, but I do plan on adding some more art glitter glue to the foam squares themselves, because the sentiment might fall off as from the fuzzy fiber part against the foam square. So I think just a little more glue never hurts to make sure that it doesn't fall off. You could stop here, but I thought I'd add a couple more accents from a die set from Anna Griffin, and just a little more embellishments on the card itself. And I used this die for it. For this next card, I'm using the Paula Pasquale Bright Rosa die set, and I will cut out the circle. And what's nice about this die is that it has really large openings, so I can create some really unique designs. I will save these large cuts because I can use them in different projects as accents. So they're really pretty, and I can always do a different inlay. Because on this one I'll cut out the same pattern with a different color and then do the inlay design. I like this die with the additional embossing features to it, so you can see little points that have been pressed into the design. For the inlay pieces, I'm going to cut out the same circle using red glitter cardstock. So once I cut them out, I will save these die cut pieces and put them in the center where the flower portion is. So for this, I don't need to cut the whole thing because I just really need the inside petals. And I will run this through my Gemini Junior because it's a really powerful die cutting machine. The outer ring I cut just in white because I will use this as the backing portion. So once I glue the front to the back part, and this I can either do straight on so you can see the cogs around, or you can offset a little bit and create a different design to it. It's really whatever you want to do, but I like them lined up. So I will keep them lined up. I will put some glue on the back and then attach the two pieces together so that I can do the inlay part. Now for this portion, since I'm only doing the center flowers, I will just add a little bit of glue to the petals that I'm doing the inlay for. If you want to do the entire image as inlay, maybe perhaps in different colors, I would run the backing part through the Xyron sticker maker so that I can just put these down without having to add glue to every single little section. But I only plan on doing the flower in the center, so I just wanted glue right in the center. Now to make this a mixed media card, I am using a velvet ribbon. It has a shiny backing to it, but you often see this material used in bows around Christmas, the big red bows. So I'm going to cut out the velvet ribbon for the card base. I'm just using double-sided Scotch tape. I think it's a little stronger than some of the other double-sided tapes. And I'm applying it to the majority of the area, but it doesn't really have to be like literally next to each other because you're just attaching the ribbon to the backing. Once you have the Scotch tape, double-sided tape down, I'm putting the ribbon, the velvety ribbon, right on the card. And as you can see, it's a little narrower than the card base, which is a 6-inch square. So you can either leave it as is and just have a white border around, or trim that off if you'd like. I will trim it off just so that all you see is the velvet. To trim off the excess, I'm using a Fiskars paper trimmer, and what I like a lot about this trimmer is that it has a wire guide, as you can see, so it's easy to line up and know exactly where the blade will go to cut off the excess. With other trimmers you can't quite tell, so you're kind of estimating, but with this you can line up the wire directly over where you want it to cut, and then you have a perfect cut every time. Now I do want to turn this card into an easel, so I'm just going to put a score line using my Score Buddy right sort of down the middle, because I want to glue the design to only half the card, so when you open it, it stands on its own and it becomes a little easel. So the circle I will only glue to the bottom half, because I want it, when I open the card, to kind of be standing up. And now I do need a stopper so that when I open the card, the front portion of it has something to stop against. So I'm just going to cut out the sentiment that I will glue to the inside of the card to make sure that it stays put. For this, I'm going to stamp Happy Anniversary on it. And this is an Altenew stamp set. And I do have links below for all the various supplies that I'm using for this project. So I stacked a couple of layers of cardstock and then stamped on it Happy Anniversary. And I will glue this on the inside. And if you glue it a little farther into the card will stand up a little more and it will be more upright. So there you have your card with the velvet backing, and it's almost like an easel card and pretty enough to display. For my last card, I'm using Yupo paper that I have cut out using a wood burning tool, and for this I do have a video linked above on how to achieve this technique. It's sort of abstract art, but I cut out a piece of the Yupo paper, which really isn't paper, it's more like a synthetic paper, plastic material. So I am attaching a piece of the Yupo paper to the front of the card, and you do need to add some weight to the card itself so that the Yupo paper adheres properly to the card. And to decorate this card, because it reminded me of a pond, sort of water lily, I had made this flower previously, and for this too, there's a link above for how to make paper flowers. And I'm attaching this to the front of the card. It is very 3D because of the height of the flower, but it just reminds me of almost like water lilies on a pond with. So you can achieve some really cool designs by bringing in other media into your card making projects. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and share so you can make your cards pretty interesting by using yarn, Yupo paper, velvet, really anything, just to make them stand out some more. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching and see you next time.